So Thomas Miranda, welcome everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this Physical AI conference and the following conferences in the years ahead. I think this is a fascinating ecosystem that's being built in front of our eyes. And one of the things, oh, here we go, great. This is still the welcome slide. One of the things that I wanted to kind of start out with, of course, through the welcome, was imagine, in construction and manufacturing today, and over the last several decades, thank you, appreciate that, millions of dollars in time is lost every single day in both of those industries. And yes, there's robotics, there's a lot of automation. Automation has been part of society and part of industry for quite some time, and it's getting better and better and better. But imagine a day in the not too distant future where robotics, through autonomous robots, through a lot of autonomy in the electronics, in the mechanism, in the intelligence, can actually help to create less and less loss and a lot more productivity, and a lot more opportunity, a lot more value across the board, across industries. This is just construction and manufacturing that I'm talking about, but the adjacent industries are right behind it as well. I just think in the next 5 years we're going to see fascinating changes in this space, and I thank David for putting this program together. With that said, let me go back into the time machine a tad. Really a brief point of reference of where AI was and where it is now. 75 years ago to this day, or to this month, the Turing test came out, right? That's a pretty amazing milestone where that was the first. It really wasn't called artificial intelligence then, it was just called kind of logical computation or algorithmic computation, something like that. 28 years ago, Deep Blue, IBM beat Kasparov in chess. That was a pretty big milestone. There are many, many, many milestones. I'm just picking out a few of them from the last 75 years. 13 years ago, Google Brain and deep learning appeared. That was just 13 years ago. And Google Brain is a UK subsidiary for those that in the Google world. And I can't believe that was just 13 years ago. It seems like that was a lot longer. Also 13 years ago, NVIDIA's AlexNet breakthrough, if anyone in the room is deep on GPUs, CPUs, and the utilization of clustering in computation, they basically created this, had this breakthrough via clustering of GPUs, and had this discovery like, wow, I think we can use this hardware and this kind of setup for AI, and to advance AI, and that's basically where the NVIDIA boom really happened. Prior to that, they used a number of graphics. They had a different architecture set up, and they've been iterating and growing throughout the years. 3 years ago, I'm sure everyone's familiar with this, where ChatGPT was launched, generative AI, and following that was Gemini and Anthropic, and so on and so forth, Grok, and then some. And then 0 years ago, which is kind of in the last few months, AlphaFold happened through DeepMind. And that's a little bit more in the medical health side of things, which I'm not too deep in, but I did some research here. And really, they came out with a way to model, they extracted 3D protein structures out of amino acids, which supposedly is supposed to be a pretty pioneering and amazing thing to do, which kind of is a pre-indicator of where things are going, I think, in health. And the value we're going to see out of AI is just going to be tremendous every year, every month, probably from here on in, maybe every day. So I just wanted to have a real quick, and so in the next 5 years, what's next? Artificial general intelligence, or whatever we're going to call it, and then some. There's just so much possibility right in front of us. As I was putting together this slide deck, I said, what can I talk about? These next two slides, I'm going to rapidly go through them, but the next two slides are from a speech I did on AI in 2018 in Dallas at IT Executive Conference. And that was 7 years ago, right? And it's amazing how much was in play then, but how much has developed since. So Alexa, had a connection to it, Siri did, Facebook did, Google Maps, semantic content search queries, et cetera, you name it. We've seen them all through especially through Samsung AI technology and their TVs and the way they display into 4K and 8K resolutions, and all the way to H&R Block, right? So a lot of it has been in play for quite some time. I'm sure many in this room are familiar with these icons and these brands, but they're kind of all obsolete now, which is amazing in terms of what they were offering at the time and at the place. Let's see, let's keep going. Okay, and I think after this, I am going into a little bit more about me and what we do. I'm not going to actually get into the domain expertise of AI. There are several domain experts in the room in this conference. I'm actually leading a early stage venture capital firm. We're focused on investing in outliers and pioneers who are really building the future through AI and technology in general. And the way that I got here is I was born and raised in San Antonio, just south of Boston here, and was pretty innovative and creative in my time, and noticed there were not enough centers of innovation and growth in technology. And so I moved out to Silicon Valley and worked with the most legendary innovative company in the world at the time, which was HP Labs in Palo Alto. And kind of anchoring in that world, in that space, it was amazing. It was just quite incredible. And through that lens and through that growth, year over year, I have expanded my knowledge and perspective and network and so on and so forth, so that now I'm able to run an organization like this. And I will also share a little bit about my background here. It's an eyesore. I've been involved in just about every technology imaginable, starting from the early 90s, not as a seed stage investor, more as a public trading when the brands were first coming out. But over the years, I got access to more and more public markets and did some great work. I founded my first tech venture in high school in San Antonio, and that's kind of what prompted me to get into creative product innovation spaces out in Silicon Valley. Started my first career, my first job as a product engineer, scaled multiple billion-dollar product lines at Cisco, worked in the M&A space, particularly as a chief technology officer in one of the organizations that was really, at the time, was trying to build the biggest venture capital firm in the world, right before the 08 to 09 kind of boom or change. And I just, just continuing to grow on that as I left Cisco and advised other investors and startups and venture firms and private equity firms, I realized I really needed to be doing something a little bit more formal, and that's kind of where I built the firm from. The market opportunities in front of us, which I'm sure most here in the room are familiar with, the autonomous side is just 10 trillion, maybe too conservative by 2030, to be honest with you. We also are working pretty deep in the cybersecurity space as well as the IoT and BAME space, because those secondary areas are kind of subsets to AI and to the physical AI space in general. It's, within 5 years, I believe we're going to see a more connected, intelligent, and decentralized world right in the midst, in front of us. And you can look up the research from Forbes, McKinsey, IDC, all of the organizations do this kind of research annually, and it just grows and grows and grows. So moving on, this is a really quick footprint. We're pretty connected across the industry, across regions. What I had mentioned earlier, I am from Texas, I'm from San Antonio, I'm very proud. I'm here living in Austin, I've been here for many years. But I'm focused on innovation. I'm focused on growth. I'm focused on bringing that kind of, Mayor Jim talked a little bit about manufacturing and skill sets and such. I support that wholeheartedly. I'm actually focused on the layer that takes that into a high growth, high value opportunity, particularly if it's anchored and grounded in Texas or in this region. I would really be happy, but we're not exclusive to Texas, although in my heart I am, because I am from here. And this didn't quite translate, well, a little bit did. slides, but about 15 years ago, give or plus a few years, working in the world I've worked in as a computer engineer, as a builder, somebody that spent many, many years in R&D and product, with my peers, with my network, with different folks in my ecosystem, I learned that more and more technologists, STEM, and I guess doing the data science behind the winning equation of what is successful, what's a successful entrepreneur, what's a successful innovator, how do you build those high value opportunities? And really, they generally come from STEM backgrounds, they come from male, I mean, this is just a snapshot in time. I'm not advocating we only need to do this, right? But this is kind of where I've been seeing this happening. I've also been part of building R&D centers in Shanghai, for instance, and blew me away with the tens of thousands of engineers that applied to get a couple of dozen jobs. That right there told me, I think we need to have a little bit more anchored opportunity and anchored purpose, anchored purpose here in the United States and in the region. And so this is kind of the work that I've been involved in to this day. So this is a real quick, again, the flashcard that I can get going. So high level of our thesis, we work across several sectors. We try to stay away from highly regulated sectors, but we are sector agnostic mostly. And we do have early stage capital to invest. We're also looking for investors as well at the same time. And with that said, because I'm getting full, here's my information if everyone's interested in getting connected.